All right, guys. This one is from GrumpyEye, and the title makes my brain hurt. And I even messaged him before, and I was like, I have a feeling I'm not going to like your take. And it was Star Citizen is not getting crafting. What? Let's see what's going on.
Hello and welcome to yet another Grumpy's Rehab Facility video. Today we're going to be talking about crafting and why I think that what Star Citizen is going to get in 3.18 should not be considered crafting. So let me roll the intro and let's talk about it.
Hello, my name is...
I take a material, I craft something with it. I'm so confused.
Before I start talking about crafting in Star Citizen, I want to tell you what crafting looks like in other games and how it evolved throughout the years. Crafting in games is almost as old as video games are. One of the first games that I found that had crafting as a gameplay mechanic was King's Quest from 1983. So it is by no means a new gameplay mechanic. It just got refined over the years. But it seems that it somehow got stuck in the late 90s and early 2000s because it didn't really change much at all. Let me explain. Most games nowadays have some kind of a variation of crafting mechanics. Some games like Minecraft or Space Engineers, for example, rely solely on crafting, since that's the main part of the experience. Some other games, like in the latest Tomb Raider, you can craft items on the fly, for example arrows to replenish your ammo. It is done with a single keybind and it is there to make the player work a bit more and to make the gameplay experience a bit harder or in-depth. But on the other hand, for example, in Minecraft, you really do need to know your recipes for crafting certain items. Not only that it gives more depth to crafting itself, but it also makes a certain connection between the player and the crafted item. But in most today's games, crafting is basically just a reskin of the in-game shop. If your inventory has enough materials that you need for crafting, you just click on the item itself and you'll craft it. And since most video games today are on the rails, you will most certainly have most of those materials placed in some convenient spots so the game itself will be sure that you pick them up for later. And then in some games, just to make it more complex, you have an arbitrary skill tree that you need to go through just to unlock the perks needed for crafting the item that you want, only to go through the same procedure again and again. But what that is basically just menu diving, and it takes...
But it's still like, what I'm confused what he would consider crafting. Like, this is just how it's always been, and people love doing this. So I know he's got like a more PvP, like combat style background, at least with Star Citizen, that's what he enjoys. But going out, collecting material, crafting it, and selling it, turning it into something of value and then selling it has like always been a thing, and people love doing it.
Takes the player away from the core gameplay experience, while
takes the player away from the core gameplay experience. This is the core gameplay experience for a lot of people, though.
Some downtime could be good for your experience to chill out and lower your adrenaline level after hours of fighting NPCs or whatever you're doing. If it is used too much, it can slow the game down, and it can become just one of those tedious things that you need to do to progress.
Okay, so every game that he's pointing out are, like, has he showed a non-single player game yet? On screen, I don't think he has shown a non-single player game. So, that's sort of the issue here. Right? I guess Minecraft was the only one. Yeah. And even then, Minecraft is sort of a solo experience. I don't think it's a game where there's like skills and things where you might need other people who have the skills to create the items that you have. I've played a very brief amount of Minecraft. So, yeah. I'm going to go with Grumpy is not an MMO player and doesn't have any MMO experience and is just applying this in a weird way.
An example for this would be Watch Dogs 2, a game that doesn't even need any materials to craft at all. You unlock the craftable items with a skill tree, and that's it. You get a perk that's needed to unlock the item you want, you go to the crafting machine that's located in your home base, you click on the item, and you instantly get it. It is basically a boring step that you need to take to get the item that you need to progress. Now, in most games, crafting is split into crafting permanent and consumable items and upgrading your existing items. Consumables will be ammo, health potions, mana potions, etc. And on the other hand, permanent items are mostly items that you'll be using, such as armor, weapons,
awesome.
tools, and stuff like that. And in the end, some games give you an opportunity to upgrade your items to a level that you can't get anywhere else. Those three mechanics are most typical for all the games out there. But in the case of RPG games, in most of them you will be upgrading your items, or you will simply be crafting an upgraded item that can't be found anywhere in the game. In that case, the crafted item will cost more than the same item that can be found in the stores, and it will either take more time to gather all the materials and pieces that you need to craft it, or it will simply be something that is unobtainable in the shops. And in the end, they will make...
I'm like really trying not to explode here, because this is crazy.
The item have more weight to it because it will build a bond between the player and the item, as it will be more personalized, especially if the game lets the player change the stats of the item to his liking. The player would now grow an attachment to that item, purely because of that endorphin hit that he got when he finally crafted it. And it will be a rare item, and you will be happy that it's yours. And in other games, of course, you get upgraded and rare items by doing quests and looting the bodies of bosses that you killed. And that whole mechanic didn't really change since the 90s. Some games had a different approach to the mechanic, but the end result was still the same. Now that you know how crafting works in other games, now we can talk about Star Citizen. And
you haven't said how crafting works in other games that are like Star Citizen, though. You just named off a bunch of games that are nothing like Star Citizen. I'm so confused. And like, if you were gonna show crafting, and I think Grumpy's been like doing his research more and really caring about the quality of his like points and videos and all these things. Like the last video we watched was incredible. I could tell he's put the work into this video. I think it was just applied into the wrong places. Like, how are we not looking at Valheim when that's literally what Chris Roberts mentioned as like his go-to? In terms of, yeah, we're going to have Valheim style crafting, which is, I mean, sort of what we have now.
yes, I had to make this whole segment of the video because I swear to God, I feel like most of you never played any other games, especially not like RPG games or games with like crafting
and I'm sitting here having the same feeling about you.
Engineering, etc. So
weird.
You get already excited about things that are
like
not really
déjà vu.
crafting. But let's talk about Star Citizen. Now, as I've said, crafting needs to make you feel like you're making something new and
Never mind, he did mention Space Engineers. That's also a multiplayer game, right? So.
personalized for it to provide you with a dopamine hit. If not, it will just be a tedious task of menu diving after getting your stats to a point where you can craft certain items. And honestly, Star Citizen does that perfectly. Because
like, look at this. That vehicle seems to be gathering this rock, bringing it over here, turning it into something else to create this ship.
it doesn't take you away from the game into a menu that you're gonna visit often just to craft items for you. It is still basically a menu system, but it is done in the game's environment, and that's really cool. But is it really crafting though? If we take the Star Citizen's new crafting mechanic as an example and you want to make a multi-tool, it will have to be either personalized or better than the ones that you can buy in the in-game store for it to serve a purpose. Instead, the multi-
What? No? What is this argument? I have to like listen to this again.
Mechanic as an example and you want to make a multi-tool, it will have to be either personalized or better than the ones that you can buy in the in-game store for it to serve a purpose.
So if I left if I just left, or I'm at a location where I just forgot my multi-tool, I died, it was looted from me, I'm at Jump Town, we take it over, and we need to start moving boxes. It has no purpose to create a multi-tool, is what he's saying. Right? I think this is a situation where what we can craft right now, incredibly limited. There are really only the situations that I gave, like, hey, I forgot to make a multi-tool, but I can only make it on 2 ships, right? Like, there is an argument here that we don't have, like, enough of crafting to be like, yo, like, cool idea, but give me more. I think that's kind of where I sit now. And I said it, I don't know if I said it during the intro, but I definitely said it on stream before this. The thing that I'm excited about this is that it's showing their intention. You know? It's showing their intentions here, and this is something that they didn't really talk about. If anything, when they did talk about crafting, they said they would not have MMO-style crafting at all. In the early days, they talked about how they didn't like it, or they didn't want to do it, or whatever. And then Chris comes out in his, like, I'm not dead, I'm alive video, and says that he wants Valheim-style crafting all of a sudden. So this was kind of, this was a surprise, and it was special. And the thing is I'm glad that they allowed us to craft something useful. What is, like, the most useful item in the game? It's the fucking multi-tool right now.
Instead, the multi-tool that we craft in 3.18 is the same as any other that can be found in the game. And you could say that that's okay, but if you check the price of the multi-tool around the verse and you compare it to the multi-tool that you're crafting, you can see that it costs much more than the one in the store. The cheapest multi-tool can be bought in Area 18 for 418 Alpha UAC. The next best price is in Lorville for 452 Alpha UAC, and the rest of the landing zones will sell it for 485 Alpha UAC. Now, if we want to craft a multi-tool in our reclaimers or vouchers, you would need to spend 90% of your 1 SU box of salvage material or RMC. Now, the selling price of that same 1 SU box is 7.6.
Crafting for sell profit never works in MMOs. Who said that? Did he say that? Stop now, it's pocket money, it doesn't matter. Well, the reason it doesn't matter and the reason it's pocket money is because we have no economy in the game. Okay? We have no economy in the game. Like, every Alpha UEC amount, everything, there's no way that any of this stuff matters. Who said that crafting for sell, like, profit never works in an MMO? Ever. That's all I've ever done. That's all I do when I play MMOs.
7,000 Alpha UAC, which means that this multi-tool will basically cost you 6,930 Alpha UAC, which is 1,400% more than you would spend if you bought it in the store. The same goes for the attachments. They have a cost of 20% of the one.
Do we know if there will be no auction house? We don't know anything.
SU box. The prices are much higher than if you bought them in the store. And those multi-tools and those attachments are not in any way personalized or customizable. They're just like
what is this thing that they need to be personal? Where is this coming from? Where does he get this feature of crafting from? I'm sorry, like, New World, nothing that I crafted is personalized. Where does this even come from?
Same ones that you can loot or that you can buy in any other store. And I gotta thank Ray's Guide for this, because he discovered the prices and he just did the math. And go watch his video, it's gonna be linked up here. It's a really good video, and there's an exploit there that's probably the only thing that's gonna be fixed before 3.18 drops into the PU. Now, this all could be a mistake on CAG Spark.
New World also died. It's literally the same as any other crafting. Like, it's just an example, dude.
but it
New World
also
didn't
can
die
be
because their crafting was bad.
something that they thought would be cool because it's more
anything, it was the only
convenient for
good
you
thing.
to make a tool in your ship than to go to a station and buy one. But crafting isn't supposed to be that. Crafting in RPG games is supposed to make you explore until you find all the materials that you need to make that item that you want. And
Yes.
then once you craft that item, it will be a one-of-a-kind thing, and Star Citizen does not let you do this. Now, even if it gets fixed before the patch goes live and the prices match the ones in the shops, I myself would still not consider this to be crafting because of a few reasons. The first reason would be, and I already stated this, is that you're crafting an item that can be found literally everywhere in the game. It is also one of the most common items that you can loot from loot boxes. Therefore,
I could craft swords and armor in MMOs as well that you could loot off of NPCs and stuff. Okay.
the price of creating that multi-tool does not match the rareness of the same item in the verse. The second
Since when is crafting rare item? Like, here's what's also crafting. Refining is also crafting. Turning a, not very expensive, I don't know, titanium and turning it into titanium bars that are used for crafting is a part of a crafting system, right? It's like a tier system, turning things into more important things. They don't have to be rare. They just have to be increasingly more useful, I think. And that's where I think RMC just makes me money, but the multi-tool unlocks more things to do. It is the most useful item in the game, in my opinion. So the I absolutely believe there's crafting, and his number one, if this is his number one reason, I don't know if they're in order of importance or anything, but being rare is not not something that I think is it could be part of crafting, but yeah.
The reason would be that you can only craft that one multi-tool and its attachments and nothing else. You can say that this is just a tier 0 of crafting and you will be right, but is it a good implementation of tier 0 mechanic? It simply isn't. And is it...
Why isn't it? This is the first time we've had a material that you could take and turn into something else. Why isn't that a good implementation? It is as simple as that, right? And then, yeah, I agree. You can't craft anything else, kind of. We got to move into ammo and weapons and armor pieces, and we gotta be able to make everything. Yes, I agree. So the you can't craft anything else part of the argument, that's yeah, I think Puppet is making a good point. If it just comes down to how are they going to do it. So one of the things now is exactly like his first 2 points are valid here for this reason, is the idea of if we're going to craft something like a railgun, for example, maybe you have to find a blueprint. And then if you have the blueprint, you put it into your 3D printer on your Vulture or wherever they're going to put crafting. And then, which they also said is just a tier 0, thrown in thing until we have an actual crafting solution. So there's that. The fact that they come out and say, hey, we have an actual crafting solution before. I wish you would have said that in this video as well, because that's what this is just a Band-Aid until. And they're doing lots of Band-Aids until now instead of not doing anything until. So I praised, and I will forever praise this move, because I would much rather have Band-Aids than nothing at all. And the fact that Grumpy will come on and now shit on the crafting system for something that is a much better scenario for all of Star Citizen's players is it upsets me. It's sad. It's I don't know what game Grumpy wants to play. I don't know if he cares if the current experience is good. it just makes me think, like, what game did you want? What game do you want to play? And at least right now, you know, do you want them to try to make the experience better now, or like what's the point of this video? I'm curious. Not what's the
needed
point,
right now.
but I think you know what I'm
it
trying
is,
to
but
say. I'm
more
having a
on
hard
that
time
a bit
saying
later.
it.
The third box that is left unchecked in this Star Citizen's new mechanic is that it doesn't allow you to upgrade your item at all. The fourth unchecked box is that there is no sense of progression.
What item upgrades do we even have in the game right now?
Like in other games, since you don't need to unlock any skills to craft an item. And the last
Star Citizen is not an RPG. There are no skills. I mean, I imagine there's going to be some minor skills with what they said at the end of CitizenCon this year, but like, what? Where is number 4 coming from?
last point is that you don't need to explore to get the materials that you need to combine so you can craft that item. So
Yes, you do. You have to... What? Yes, you do. You have to salvage them. What do you mean?
wouldn't even call this an addition of crafting to the game. Yes, you can click on a button and yes, you get an item, but it is by no means an addition of actual crafting mechanics to the game.
Worst take, that is the worst take out of the whole video. That is the absolute worst take out of the whole video. That makes no sense. You have to go out, you have to salvage material in order to craft this thing. What are you talking about, Grumpy? I have no... That is the worst take that I think you've ever had. Was right there. I get it. It's tier 0. It's garbage. We're on the same page there. It's not the best experience possible. But I can't with this one. I just can't with this one.
This is basically a portable shop that is ripping you off. And I would go that far to say that this is just a solution to a problem that CEG made themselves. And let me tell you why. Back in my day, the first conveyor belt was made in 1892. And now in 2023, we have all sorts of different machines in our disposal to sort out our stuff. And it is all done either...
Yes, I mean, most MMOs are fantasy games, right? That take place in a time where there's, you know, no robots and stuff, sure.
By hand or with pre-programmed machines that make our lives easier, from robotic hand machines all the way to sorting like machines. This, almost everything is automated. And since Star Citizen takes place in 2952, I could only assume that in the future we lost a lot of things that we had available to us in these modern times. But it seems that even if we got cloning and amazing spaceships, we only lost the things that make our lives easier. Or in other words, the tier -1 implementation of crafting was made to solve a design problem that the developers made themselves. Instead of giving us automized robotic arms or a longer conveyor belt, they made us use our multi-tools. So basically CEG spent half of a decade making a salvage mechanic that ended up being so basic that it needed something more to give it some depth. So they designed the dispenser that needed to be emptied by hand.
Yeah, I don't think he can look at anything they do as a positive thing. And that sucks. I love Grumpy, but I just look at it in a totally different way. It's I look at it as the developer who worked on that was excited and wanted to do something cool, and they let him. I don't know what else to say there. Like we can't look at this and go, they wanted to do something cool, you know? And yeah, dude, I'm just so disappointed in this point. I don't even know what to say.
Jesus Christos, what were they thinking? But then the people raged on the forums, because they didn't understand why would they buy a $150 ship that needed additional tools for it to work. So the developers found a quick fix to the problem that they made themselves. And then the content creators...
They didn't make the problem themselves. They didn't make anything. And then somebody actually made something. Okay, crafting is a solution to a problem. I'm confused by this point, and I think I'm just misunderstanding him, actually. What problem did CIG create themselves? I'm confused what point he's making there. I think what he means is that salvage was kind of boring, and he's right. But so's mining. so's everything without the actual like economy and value to the items, which are all the valid points that I think he's made. Right? But the other points are not at all. So I just don't I don't, yeah.
Creators started making catchy thumbnails on how Star Citizen is getting crafting mechanics. So what this crafting basically is just a workaround around the poor game design with a dispenser
There is no game design.
that you need to like empty every now and then.
That's the part that you're not seeing,
just basically
Grumpy.
poor game design. So instead of giving hull scraping itself some depth, they try to introduce yet another time sink just for it to seem like it's a complex game loop. But if you compare hull scraping to mining, for example, you can see exactly what the current implementation of salvage is missing: some kind of skill-based gameplay. And you can say that they did it to encourage motor crewing, but that doesn't change the fact that it's just bad game design, because the Reclaimer gameplay is no better. You need to have a guy sitting in the back of the ship, falling around the place because of the G-forces, and then sorting the boxes out every 2 minutes. And since even a monkey can do that, it is not engaging unless you're a pineapple or maybe avocado or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this does go to show how low our standards are. Definitely. The fact that they did anything was exciting. And making fun of people like me for being excited about that stuff, okay. You know, so sad I got excited about something, Grumpy. My bad.
Whatever, but it is not engaging gameplay. But there is a solution to it, and it's pretty simple. Honestly, my solution would be to make the beams wider so they would cover a wider area, but then add a mini game to it to keep the beams at the optimal heat level so you can get more materials out of the area.
Oh, so just do mining again. I thought the same thing when I initially saw this. The way we're talking about crafting so much, the way salvaging works. I was like, wow, it's pretty boring and there's not much to it. And I have to agree with his sentiments on that. But then a lot of people in the chat came and said, but we do need these like kind of peaceful and just chill mechanics as well. Kind of going out and gathering material in other games is very much like that. You go out, you're listening to music or like watching a movie or whatever, and people do like that. I don't personally. I would like there to be, I mean, mine wouldn't be more like mining. It would be more there would be, I don't know, like gas lines and dangerous areas to salvage in where you should avoid those areas, and if you don't, there'll be explosions, might damage your ship, stuff like that, right? Like and I think that's what he's sort of arguing with here is, make it more like mining where there's some risk to the aspects. And I would absolutely agree with that.
And then instead of having to craft a multi-tool with a tractor beam attachment, we can have a longer conveyor belt so that the dispenser can make up to 5 or 6 boxes without us needing to go back there and sort them out. And since having an automized sorting machine in the back of
I don't mind the sorting on the Reclaimer, but the Vulture, it is a little weird.
The ships is too hard to code for it to work as intended 100% of the time, give the players a tractor beam inside the ship itself that the crew can operate remotely, just like a remote turret. And there you go, fixed. Now you can focus on making crafting in the next decade, I guess, because you're going to focus on Squad of 42. Anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you to all my patrons that are supporting my channel. I know that I wasn't really uploading or I wasn't going live. I was not live streaming in a couple of days or maybe in a week, but I'm gonna make it up to you. I promise I am. But thank you for supporting me. If you want to support me, the Patreon link is down in the description of the video. You can also support me by super chatting or hitting the join button on YouTube. whatever floats your boat. Also, there is this Keep Calm and Buy on Idris. That is my merch, and you can check out the merch store also down in the description of the video. There's a lot, you can see them on the screen. There's a lot of funny things and funny prints. I added some new prints, so you can check them out. If you like them, you can buy them. They're not dirt cheap, but they are high quality, and you're gonna wear them forever, basically. And yeah, so thank you for watching. And one more thing, I added like an affiliate link, so if you want to check out the things that I'm using for like video and audio and etc., you can check it out. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you buying it if you don't need it, so, but if you want to, you have the affiliate link. But yeah, check it out. Anyway, thank you for watching again, and don't forget to bring it on when you're trying to
letting him do his ads at the end.
Bye.
All right. I think if we watch people's videos, you should always like watch their hashtag ad in the middle or whatever, right? So, yeah, most of the games that Grumpy shared as examples, he even said RPG a lot. Star Citizen's not an RPG game. So using those examples is kind of weird. In my experience, the crafting that we have in Star Citizen now is like crafting in a lot of these other games, minus a few things like skills and stuff like that. And that's probably why they're starting with not so useful items. Same thing with the loot in the loot tables. Same thing with the mineable materials that you can't do anything with, right? They're starting with something minor and then just making it tier 0 like they always do. And to argue that it's not in, like he said in the video, this is just to stir up he's literally just trying to stir the pot at this point. And because he said that in the video, I'm not sure his opinion's even genuine. But it might be, because he did put in a lot of work. I wish he looked at like WoW crafting, Ultima Online crafting. I wish he looked at, because he used Ultima, but not Ultima Online, which was just like, what? You were almost there, all the way there, you know? Even New World, a more recent game in the same engine, right? So there was opportunity to like get it right. Yeah, Star Wars Galaxy, right? Which was like basically Star Wars Galaxies was like UO in space, from what I understood back in the day. And yeah, it's just sad for him to be missing out on something so cool for me personally. But yeah, of course, the value of the multi-tool is not it's not something that you craft to sell, and that is a disappointing element as well. But are you trying to tell me, like, here's why crafting is in? Are you ready? Someone is going to land a vulture at Jumptown, or a reclaimer. Probably more like a reclaimer at Jumptown, or a vulture's fine. I think they'll both work. They're going to salvage the busted ships, and they are going to sell multi-tools to players coming in that don't have them. How many white suits are at Jumptown, right? Tell me there's not crafting now. Yeah, 10K per. Tell me there's not crafting now. It's possible. That's it. And yeah, that's the other thing. Eve was just mentioned in chat. I didn't even read your thing without seeing just the word Eve. What do you do in Eve? You just take one material, it's in a menu, and you turn it into another one. It's not like this active gameplay thing. So, Grumpy, this is an L. I don't know what else to say. Take the L. Go continue to focus on PvP, and then all the people who love doing this stuff will absolutely, hopefully, I don't know when it'll happen. Again, like you said in the video, probably 10 years from now. But I absolutely will not play this game unless this is how it works, which is you're a PvPer, but you're going to need people that like to do this kind of stuff, because they're the ones who are going to craft and they're the ones who are going to create the fuel. They're the ones who are going to do all the things that support what you're into, right? Usually in games like MMOs, the people who craft are the people who support the PvP groups, you know? So yeah, man. Just this was an L video. I'm sorry. I get what you're saying, but this is play some MMOs, man. I think you'll enjoy it. Seriously, I want to take a positive look. I'm not just gonna sit here and call you an idiot. I don't think you are. I think you really tried on this video. It's just you just missed. It's okay. We don't hit on everything, and that's it.